Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and day 12 of the 30-day Space Wolves Army Build Challenge. And today I've got 2 more units painted and ready to go, so really happy with that. Also magnetised Logan Grimnar, so that was a big step too. So yeah, another messy job that I'm really happy to get done. And also getting the 2 units of cavalry done was a good move too. So I was a bit worried about gluing them on. Some of the wolves are only on like 1 foot, and so I wanted to make sure they were nice and strong and sturdy. So really happy with how they've come out. So let's take a look at the table, then I'll show you how I painted the cavalry, and that was going through things like how I was doing the shoulders, all the bones, the frost weapons and things like that. Then I'll show you how I magnetised Logan Grimnar as well. So here's the table, and things aren't looking a lot different than yesterday, but when we get closer, some of the models have moved from this first tray to the back tray, and there's a couple more units now almost finished. So really happy with how far I've got today. And here's the Thunderwolf Cavalry. So I've got 2 units now all painted up, and all I've got to add to some of them is the shield and dry brush the rim of the base, and then those 2 units are finished. So that's really great. And here's the first one. This one is pretty much all done because he's got the 2 claws, which is awesome. So there's the model up close, and I've also got the mark of the crow figured out. So this is what they're all going to wear on their right shoulder. So really cool to have these cavalry all like built up now and put together, just the shields to add, and so that's not going to take long at all to paint those. But these took a lot longer than I thought they would. They took like a good 6 hours today, but really I was going through all the different paints, the colour schemes, and looking at how I was going to do the weapons and all the different elements. So now I can apply all that to all the other models without having to think about it. And I'll be doing a painting video for these specifically, but let's just run through all the different paints I use and what I did. So here I've gone for the traditional Averland Sunset Yellow, and then I've just gone with a Wraithbone on all the different fangs that you can see and the different skeletons. So they're just going to get a coat of Wraithbone, and then so picking out all these little pieces. So there's quite a lot on the different models. And then on the metalwork, I just use Lead Belcher and just picking out that. And then on these little vents here. And I also used a Rune Lord brass metal paint on some of the different bits, like this piece here and some of the weapons as well. And then Blood for the Blood God, nice and shiny. So I used that for any like gems you can see on the models. So that worked out nicely, and that really stood out. Then we've got the first mark of the crow, and so this is going to be the 3 scratches, and this is the mark that is going to represent all of the different units. So every pack is going to have this same one, just for simplicity and to tie in the whole army together. So this is going to save a load of time, and it ties in with my logo for the channel as well, which I think is pretty fun. And then I did the weapons, so I figured out how to do that. I watched a bunch of videos, got a great recipe from Pete the Wargamer, and it's to do like a watered down white, let that dry, and then you can still see through it. So then go over it with an Athematic blue, and then pick out with Talassar blue a little bit along the kind of darker areas, and then just dot it around a little bit. And so I did that, and that gives you a nice ice effect. And then finally a little bit of dry brushing over it with white came out really nice. So the same on this hammer, and all the different layers you can see through it, which is really nice. So I really like that recipe. But there's loads of different ways you could do this. I just went for this one because I just thought it came out right. But instead of doing like the different lines, I used a dry brush at this stage. So that was a little bit different. But again, that's going to speed things up quite a lot. And then while I've got the dry brush out, I'm just going over now and giving them that frosty look. And this is going to bring out, it's almost like a little edge highlight as well. But really just to add and sell that frost effect. Then tone down those bright shoulder pads, which is really important. And then cover over that hammer as well. So I really liked how they turned out, the ice weapons. So I'll be doing this on all the different ice weapons. And then the skulls, I've decided to stick with that Wraithbone, a coat of Agrax Earthshade, and then keep it bone looking. So I think that's a good way to go. And then all the different furs I've done in a brown as well. Then I did the heads, and I've kept them all on the sprue. I don't normally do these separately like this. But again, for speed, I thought this would be a lot better, so I could dry brush all the different armour and then do the heads separately and pop them on. So when I do the blood claws, I can just paint all 15 heads at once, and here I just did all 6. So yeah, this is just really simple. Just one coat of Guilliman flesh over the face, like a thin coat, and I put a little bit extra in the mouth and in the eyes. And then for the grey hair, I've gone for Apothecary white contrast, just one coat, no highlighting, and that was really nice and easy. And so I'm going to work it that the younger Bloodclaws are going to be more towards the orangey hair, then the Grey Hunters are going to have more blonde hair, and then these guys, the Wolf Guard, are going to have grey hair. So it's going to get greyer as they get more experience. And then once I got all the components ready to go, I started to think about how I was going to fix it. And I've done lots of ways. I did some where I fixed it right to the plastic base, so I cut through, and then on some of them I just super glued it on. So I've used plastic glue on some, super glue on others, and I'll do a video on how I fix them to the bases later on. I'll do a full proper video on that, the same with the painting and everything, the different stages. But yeah, so this one went on really easy because it was kind of almost on 3 pours. So super glued that on, and that worked a treat, and then popped the guy on and they're ready to go. So that's 2 more units, almost finished. Just got to pop those shields on, dry brush the rim, and then they're finished. So really happy. These were kind of quite fiddly as well, so I was keen to get them done, and yeah, really happy how they turned out. I also worked on Logan Grimnar, and I've magnetised him now so he can work on both the base and in the chariot. So this is great. Now I can use the 2 data sheets that come in the codex, so I've got those options. And so this was a little bit harder than I thought. The magnets weren't quite as strong. The big ones are really strong, but the small ones not so much, so I had to put a few extra in. So I'll just show you the process real quick, but again I'm going to do another video that goes into exactly how I did it in slow time, so you can follow along if you wanted to try it. But I recommend doing it with some different magnets than I use. But here we go, here's the model, and so we've got this awesome chariot, we've got a great model, and there's already a little hole there, and he's got a little piece on his foot, and so you can pop him in there and that'll hold him in place if you glued him. But again, I want to use him for both. So I've got the model, I've got the base, and I've got the chariot. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I put the magnets together. So these are the magnets I've got. They're both 6mm wide here. One's a little bit deeper at 5mm, and this one's 3mm. And then I've got these tiny ones which are 2mm by 1mm. And so I thought they would be strong enough to hold him, but they certainly weren't. I had to put 4 in altogether, as you'll see. I've got some regular drill bits. I don't have a hand drill, so I just use these. And then some Gorilla Super Glue, which is really strong. So this stuff's really great. And then, so I just got this drill bit first because it's got the point on the end, and I use that just to get started. So that's making sure I've got that hole nice and centered where I want it to go, and I'm making sure it's away from the toes as well, so I've got plenty of space to work with. So I work that in, and then I take one of the smaller ones, which is the same width as those small magnets. So I take the 2mm one, and then I just go in and drill down so it's just to the right height of that magnet. Then a good helping of glue in there, and then pop the magnet in, and so it's going to be just the right height. So I used like 3 just so I've got a bit of room to play with and make sure it's the right orientation for the other magnets that are going to go on the base. Let it set real quick, and then just quickly take the others off before they're glued to that magnet as well, and then just push it in, make sure it's going to stay, and that glues in like 10 seconds. And so I repeated that and did 2 in each foot. And then that'll sit on the base. Now notice one leg is higher than the other, and that's because of the chariot. So I'm just going to put a big magnet there and then disguise it. So I scraped away some of the filler that I put on already, and then I'm super glued the magnet straight to the plastic of the base. So that's going to get a nice solid hold. I made sure the magnet was the right way up by sticking it to the magnets that are already on his foot, and then pressed it down. Again, 10 seconds is all this needs, and it's really strong, and that's going to hold it in place. So I can pop that on with one foot, and it's not quite enough. So once I get him in the position I want him to be in, I get the other magnet, stick that underneath, and then that held it. That was nice and strong, so I could move him around. That's going to work really well. And so I glued that other magnet in, grabbed my ground texture, and then started to build it up around that magnet to disguise it. And then all I need to do, once that dries, it's going to take a good 24 hours, this, because quite a lot there, just paint it again, and then, yeah, that's not going to take long at all. Next, it was the turn of the chariot, and I just needed to make a hole in there for the magnet. And I messed up here, because when I built it, you can see the join there. I could have put the magnet in underneath, but I wasn't thinking, I just built it. And so it's a real shame to cut a hole in this. But I figured if I just used him with that, he would just be stood up on it, and you wouldn't see it anyway. So I made a hole with a bigger drill bit, just started with a smaller one and worked it out. Put some glue around the edge, got those magnets again on his foot so I know they're going to be the right way up, and then pop that in and I push those magnets down. Now I made a mistake here. It almost started to set already, so I had to push a little bit harder than I thought I would, and then it went all the way down. But so I took the top 2 magnets off, but luckily it was like the perfect height, so it was just flush with it. So I got away with that. I could have messed that up big time. That could have been stuck out and looked really silly. But once it's set, just that one magnet is enough to hold him on his feet, because you've got a little bit of friction there from the pose and with his cloaks helping. So that's pretty sturdy. You can hold that upside down, you can shake it around a bit, he's going to move around really fine. So really happy to be able to have him, but for this I would definitely recommend not using these small magnets. I would say get something that was maybe 4 or 5 mil wide, drill a bigger hole in the feet, and then that's going to be solid and really easy to do as well. And but this worked. Do you know what I mean? This has done the job, so happy I can do it. But these small ones, it just looks a little bit messy. I think it could have been a little bit neater. So that's me for today, but tomorrow I'm really looking forward to getting another unit done. So I'm thinking I'm going to go for the blood claws. These are going to be 15 altogether. The shoulders are going to be slightly different in the colours, but everything else is pretty much as I've gone through today. So I don't have to like do any trial and error. I don't have to do any research. I know exactly what to do, so I should plough through these. So if I can get all the blood claws done tomorrow, that's going to be a real bonus. So yeah, that's my plan for tomorrow. So there we go, that's everything for today, and I can't believe approaching the halfway mark now. So yeah, really getting serious, and I think I'm doing good on time though. If I can spend tomorrow getting those blood claws finished, that's a big unit, 15 done and out of the way, and then maybe the next day I can work on the grey hunters. The next day I can get the wolf guard finished, and maybe some other pieces like those cargo crates, and then finally the Terminators on day 4. That's going to take me past halfway to day 16, and then I'll have 14 days left to get the rest done. And so that should give me time to get the fort built and the tabletop board made as well. So I think I can do it. If I can keep this pace going, then I can get it done in that time. So fingers crossed, just got to keep going, chipping away at it. And I think getting those wolf guard on the cavalry done today has really helped, because I've finalised all the colours and exactly how I'm going to do all the bits. So yeah, I can just get straight on tomorrow. I don't have to think about it, don't have to watch anything, don't have to look about how to do it. So yeah, really happy with that. And then once all this is finished, I can start pumping out all the videos for the unboxings, the paintings and everything else that I've been saving up and preparing as this challenge has been unfolding. So thanks again for following along, and come and join me again tomorrow for day 13, and hopefully we'll see 15 blood claws all painted and ready for battle. So can't wait for that. So thanks again. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.